Hello everyone, we are team number 68 and we developed our project alongside the Unit for the Victims Assistance and Reparation. We named our project Daily Events Log, News Collector and Classification for a Swift Response Action. The unit was created in January 2012 by the Victims and Land Restitution Law, and its goal is to coordinate the assistance and reparation measures given by the state as well as other entities such as NGOs. First, I will start giving you the background of the processes that we will aim to improve in our project. The unit has a document called Daily Event Log, or Bitácora Diaria de Eventos in Spanish, where they gather, categorize, and systematize events related to the dynamics of violence in Colombia. These events are gathered from various news sources, either national or local, and they get categorized in one of the four main categories, which are acts against civilians, armed actions, institutional actions, and other types of actions. Then they divide news in one of the 12 types of events, such as forced displacement, homicides, armed confrontations, captures, seizures, among others. And finally, they identify where the events are happening within the 32 departments of Colombia and the 1,103 municipalities. Once the events are identified and categorized, the previously gathered information, along with other features, are compiled in the Prevention and Emergency Attention database, and a verification process begins, where personnel is deployed in the field to identify and accompany the victims. As you might have noticed, the ultimate goal is to improve the chances of the state to attend humanitarian emergencies through a daily monitoring of events that activates a verification and follow-up process in the field. As part of our exploratory data analysis, we will show you some interesting facts. As of June 2020, the number of total victims in Colombia amount to more than 9 million people, from which almost 7.3 million have been subject of attention from the state. From the total victims, there is an even gender distribution, with 50.3% being women and 49.6% being men. This graph is showing you the number of victims and events per period of time. As you can see, during 2001 to 2005, there was a peak, and it's been descending since then. Here, we can see the top 5 victimization acts, with forced displacement being the sad winner, followed by far in number of victims by homicides. The following two graphs are showing the number of victimization acts by region and by department, according to the data provided by the unit for the past 2 years, being the Andean region and the Department of Antioquia, the ones with more events during this period of time. Now, I will proceed to explain the problem that the victims unit has and the solution that we implemented. Nowadays, the daily events log has to be manually filled, and instead of being a daily log, it has become more of a weekly log. The filling of this log is a labor-intensive and time-consuming task due to the large number of information sources that have to be researched, then read, analyze, and categorize each of these events that were found. This is impacting the response time to attend victimization acts or risks of possible victimization. They need to warn the national and local authorities in a timely manner and help improve the resource allocation. So, what is the solution that we implemented for the victims unit? We developed a web app with Streamlit, where we first proceed to gather news from different sources. We obtain news from two main sources, El Tiempo via web scraping and El Heraldo via reading RSS feed. Once we have this text from the original news, we make some cleaning via natural language processing tools, and then we apply the classification algorithms that were developed in order to categorize the event and location when possible. This process can be done daily in order to fill the daily events log and the prevention and emergency attention database, so that the verification process can begin faster and aid can be distributed when needed. We also provide some overview of key variables for further analysis and a heat map of events for easier visualization of concentration and victimization acts throughout Colombia. Now I will show you these aspects in the app. This is the layout of the app that we created. On the left panel, we can select the different options to navigate. I will first give you a glimpse to the overview menu. Here, we can find basic statistics and useful information about the original data supplied by the victims unit. We can see the different variables of the database and an initial data exploration such as number of victimization acts by department and municipality, number of events by date, category, type, author of the victimization act, among others. Within the media tracking option, we will find all the news obtained via web scraping or RSS feed reader, with all the information gathered, such as date, title, URL, and the text of the news. We can also select by a specific media source. As an example, we will select El Tiempo, and it will automatically begin the news extraction process. Once it's done, we can export the news to an Excel file for further analysis, or we can proceed with the classification of the news. Within the news classification option, we can see a word cloud of the most common words used in the news that have been extracted so far. Then we can click on the news classification button and wait for the algorithm to process the news. Once the process is done, we will find the following table with 4 more columns. The first 2 are the region and the department, which are filled depending on the text of the news. If the place was explicitly written, it will identify these 2 columns. If not, it will leave them in blank. We will also obtain the category and the type of the event as required by the victims unit. We can also see another word cloud with the most common words of the recently classified news, and it could be exported as well into an Excel document. We have incorporated another feature, which is a way to classify a single event. As an example, we have copied one of the news that were already extracted, and I will paste it in the field that says Enter News here. Now, we can proceed to determine the location of this specific news event. As you can see, the model has identified the news location in the department of Atlántico, and it has given us the coordinates, which are now being displayed in a map, along with the heat map with all the already recorded events. Now, we will run the model to categorize the news. We obtain as category an act against civilians and as a type a homicide. And if we go and read the actual news, we can see it did a good job, because it says in Spanish, un ataque sicarial dejó un hombre muerto, which is clearly a homicide. Lastly, we can show you a map with all the locations where the events took place. And here, the last step, where you will find information about us, the developers of this app. To conclude, we can see how quickly and easy it could be to automatically obtain the news from various sources, being able to classify the location and even categories, saving time to the public servants who can now focus and take action on more important tasks while helping the victims of the armed conflict in our country. However, this tool is just a first approach to solving the problem and needs to be further developed in order to gather news from all the sources required by the victims unit. We just demonstrated the capabilities of machine learning and data analytics in solving real-life problems, and we hope to contribute to the timely and proper attention of the victims in Colombia, as well as saving public resources that can be spent in a more efficient manner. Thank you all for your time, and thanks to Mintic for the opportunity of becoming a data scientist. This is us, Team 68. Thank you very much.